It is time once again for the WNBA playoffs. Wow, who's not ready? That's what I want to know. Today, first round Western Conference predictions. I'm going to start off with the Tulsa Shock and the Phoenix Mercury. First, let me say this. Tremendous big ups to Odyssey Sims and Planette Pearson. They have done an outstanding job in Skylar Diggins' absence. They had a slide after Skylar went down, lost game after game. I think they lost, I don't know how many games they lost in a row. They started off 7-1, and I didn't want them to end up in last place or out of playoff contention just because of Skylar's injury. I wanted to think that they had the types of players that could pick up the slack, and they do. They have not only Sims and Planette, but also players like Courtney Paris. Congratulations to Courtney, by the way, being the rebound queen 2 years running. It's great there. But I'm also looking at the more silent players like Vicky Baugh. I'm looking for her to really do well in the playoffs, as well as Tiffany Jackson, who I haven't seen that much of in years. Thankfully, she's finally come on. I think the con will be Raquana Williams' health. She had a calf injury, hadn't played a game since August 30th. She is one of the best bench players in the league. Second only probably to Allie Quigley. The Shock will definitely need her in the playoffs, so hopefully she can come back healthy for that. Now we look at the Mercury side. I'll give the Phoenix Mercury some credit. They've won 20 games without Diana Taurasi, Penny Taylor, and Erin Phillips. I didn't expect them to do this well. Keep in mind, Brittany Griner did miss 7 games due to that suspension. I actually figured they'd be 17-17, but to their credit, Sandy Brondello has done a marvelous job yet again. Bonner has had another terrific season. I got love for Leilani Mitchell in her comeback. I also like what I see from Kayla Francis. She's been good. Brittany Griner still the blocks queen of the WNBA. What I don't quite understand is how the biggest team in the NBA, height-wise, could be 6th in rebounding. That I haven't quite understood. I mean, Griner, the thing about Griner is that it still seems to me that she's somewhat tentative. I mean, yeah, she'll dunk, she'll score, but there have been times when she will pass the ball out when she doesn't need to. And Ann Myers-Drysdale, who does the color commentary for the Phoenix Mercury, has mentioned this on more than one occasion. It just seems that she still needs Diana to coach her on the court. I expected more from Griner at this point in her career, to be quite honest. I expected her to score at least 18 to 20 points a game, be the rebounding queen year after year. Hasn't quite happened. She's still fierce. She's one of the greatest competitors in the league, and the Mercury definitely need her, but they need more from her. That's my whole thing. She needs to have that eye of the tiger instinct that other all-star players have. And what better time to have that than in the playoffs, right? In any event, my prediction is for the Phoenix Mercury. I think DeWanna Bonner will go off. I think she will make this series her own. I really do. I'm not saying that it'll be a cakewalk. It could very well go to 3 games, but the Mercury should be able to pull this one out. Why? Sheer playoff experience and a larger number of veterans. And now the Lynx versus the Sparks. To me, so much hinges on the health of Simone Augustus and Lindsay Whalen. They aren't just great. You're talking about 2 Olympians, 2 future Hall of Famers, and possibly the best backcourt in WNBA history. That's saying a lot. And to have those 2 injured would be devastating for the Lynx. So for the sake of Lynx fans, I hope they could come back and come back strong. And big ups to Anna Cruz and Renee Montgomery. They've done all they can to keep the Lynx competitive, along with Maya Moore, of course. It seems that Sylvia Fowles, which was the huge acquisition, has finally found her way after a shaky start. At one point, it didn't look good. As a team, the Lynx were incohesive. They were losing games to teams that they should have beaten, even though they did finish the West in first place. Lynx fans need to see the Brunson of old. They need to see the Brunson of 2011 when she was just giving teams hell under the basket. Haven't seen too much of that in recent years, but again, playoffs is as good a time as any for Brunson to return to full form. If I were Coach Reeves, I would depend more on my bench, a lot more. Devereaux Peters, Trisha Linston, all of them. And now for the Sparks side. Well, I didn't know. It looked ugly for a long time. But Candace Parker comes back into the league. There was something like 3-14 at the All-Star break. Candace returns, and now they're in the playoffs. Phenomenal second half season for Candace Parker. Amazing, amazing. I love Dabovich. She works hard. Alana Beard, she's had her bad breaks with injuries this season, but they're going to need her leadership for sure, for sure. She's invaluable as a floor general. Nneka, of course. Well, how much more can you say about Nneka? One of the best power forwards in the league. They need her to stay healthy. And then you have Jantel Lavender, who many pick to be the most improved player. She's come such a long way in the league. I would be surprised if she does not do well in the first round. I don't know how will she match up against Sylvia Fowles. That's going to be tested. They have an incredible coach in Brian Agler, not coach of the year, but he has his ring with Seattle, and he has to be given credit for turning this team around. And of course, they have Tolliver. Only thing I don't like about Tolliver is that she can be too emotional for her own good. Anytime she makes the slightest mistake, she gets down on herself, and sometimes that could throw a monkey wrench into her game. But hey, I mean, she's one of the top shooters in the league. Her shot is fluid. When her shot is on, believe me, I mean, we've all seen it. We've all seen what she could do. She's incredible when she's on. Couple of negatives, Tolo going down with the ACL tear. It'd be good to have a big body in there, even though she's not an all-star. Still, she get her blocks. She does get into foul trouble, but you need a big body in there to contend with Sylvia Fowles and at the same time give Lavender some breathing room. But they do have Hampson. I'm concerned about Aaron Phillips. I mean, if I were a LA Sparks fan, I'd like Aaron Phillips to be healthy and to be able to play. Don't know if that's going to happen. The other negative is that they are not a good three-point shooting team. That could play a factor in a lot of close games. And of course, they're playing the Lynx, so every point is important against Minnesota. So their lack of good three-point shooting will be a debit there. And they're not the greatest rebounding team. So I'm going to have to give this one to Minnesota, and I think I'm not alone in this. I think Candace Parker and Maya Moore playing each other will be exciting. I think it'll be very entertaining, but Minnesota should come out on top on this one. I live in LA, and I would love to see the Sparks play as long as they can. Not so much because I'm a Sparks fan, but because, I love the WNBA, and I'd love to see the playoffs here. And the other negative is that the LA Sparks won't play in Staples Center. Staples Center is being used for something else. I don't know what that is, so the Sparks will have to play in Long Beach. I don't know how that'll play into their confidence, not having true home court in Game 2. But at any rate, regardless of where the game is, I'm giving Minnesota this one. Okay, that's going to wrap things up. Tomorrow, the Eastern Conference Round 2 playoffs. Peace.